So today I want to talk about the concept of becoming a trusted advisor to your market. And I'm a huge fan of becoming a trusted advisor for many reasons. The main one being that you're going to convert way more business if people actually see you as like an asset, a source of knowledge, a source of experience, somebody who has been there, who has done that, who's on the front line and can offer truly meaningful insight. Your sales are going to skyrocket. That's one of the single biggest things that you can do to increase your sales. The challenge is that because a lot of people that I work with, at least, usually business owners, entrepreneurs, coaches, consultants, agency owners, and the like, people who have their own service business, they're not necessarily used to sales situations. Maybe they've come out of a corporate role. Maybe they've traditionally got a lot of their business from referral or word of mouth. So it is a slightly different ball game to have basically cold conversations with potential clients and gain that status as trusted advisor, because the challenge that you're actually up against most of the time if you are having a conversation with a potential client is that they have their guard up a little bit and they're trying to make sure that you are not a pushy salesperson. Because if there's any, I've talked about this in the past many times before, but if there's any pressure, there's any pushiness in that sales interaction, it's going to kill your deal. It's going to absolutely destroy trust and any chance of you doing business with that individual. So instead, if you can position yourself as a credible expert, somebody who has a lot of experience, a lot of insight, and has actually done what they're trying to do or helped other people do what they're trying to do, the chances of them doing business with you are much higher. And I just want to throw in a quick example here, because when I was purchasing my car, I've talked about my car on the channel before, my beloved Jaguar F-Type R, I was shopping around a bit in the market. I actually did test drive another car that I was going to purchase. I won't say the brand in case anyone wants to visit this dealership at some point. I don't want to destroy their reputation, but the pressure applied by the salespeople at that car dealership was really high. And even though the car was a really great car, I was so put off by the fact that they were trying to like ram this deal down my throat. They were using all of these like phrases and sales tactics from the 60s and 70s and 80s, asking those questions like the box in questions, like, is there anything today that would stop you from doing this deal with us?
Sound fair enough?
And all of these things, and it just felt like I felt so boxed in and pressurized compared to when I actually bought my car, my Jaguar. I had a good experience. I went into the showroom, it was chill, they got me a drink, we had a sit down, we talked cars for half an hour, showed me around the car, had a test drive, got back, and they advised me. They advised me on the different models, they advised me on the different potential routes that I could go for that particular model, and there was no pressure. It was more just a case of, hey, here's what some of our clients like to do, here's what I like personally, and there was no like hard sell. It was just them as a trusted advisor to me in my purchasing decision. And this is exactly what you need to do in your sales interactions. There's no need to push. You're on a journey with your prospect. You're facilitating their decision by offering insight and expertise. That's all you're doing. That's all you ever need to do. Yes, you need to ask them questions. You need to figure out what their challenges are, but then you're co-creating a solution. You're not selling to them. You're collaborating with them to get to the best decision. And that's how you need to view every sales interaction. Because the reality is that your prospects, if they get to the point where they're having a conversation with you, 9 times out of 10, they are going to be qualified. If you work with high-level people, decision makers, executives, entrepreneurs, these people don't just get into phone calls with other people or vendors or potential providers of solutions to them unless they're actually in the market, which means they're relatively educated most likely. They have a good idea. We live in an internet age where people can very quickly get the basic information they need. So what they're actually looking to do is essentially just interview different providers to see which one they trust the most. And who are they going to trust? The person giving them the hard sell, trying to get them to make a decision today, or the low pressure, trusted advisor guiding them through that conversation? It's going to be the latter, clearly. So let's get a bit tactical and talk about how to become a trusted advisor. So the first one is to know your stuff, right? So if you're in a space, if you're in a niche, this is why I recommend being in a niche, because you can be a real expert within your particular niche of the market. So if you know your stuff, if you know your industry, naturally you're going to be able to provide very good insight to people. So that's the first thing. Know your niche, know your market, know your customer better than they know themselves. And that might sound weird, but you actually can do that if you've worked with like 50, 100 people just like them. You actually might know them better than they know themselves, because you know the challenges that they're coming up against. You can almost foresee the challenges that they're coming up against. So that's the first one. Know your market inside out. Secondly, be able to prove that you have delivered in the past. Now, this is obviously a tricky one if you're getting started, but as soon as you have those first few clients in your business, and especially if you've been in business for 5, 10, 15 years, collect recommendations and testimonials like there's no tomorrow. If you look at my LinkedIn profile, recommendation section, recommendation after recommendation after recommendation. If I didn't ask for those, I wouldn't get them. But as soon as I deliver some good value ROI for a client, I ask for that recommendation, so that when I'm having new conversations with potential clients, I can display my expertise. I can talk about stories, and then I can say, hey, I could go through all of these stories and I'll reel off a couple for you, but feel free to check out the recommendations on my LinkedIn profile or the testimonials on our website to see in a little bit more depth exactly how we've helped people just like you. So display that you know them, you know their industry, and that you've actually delivered in the past. So we've got knowing your market, knowing your stuff. We've got being able to prove that you know your stuff. The third thing that comes into this is actually how you communicate. So confident communication, conviction in your communication. And this comes from the first two. You know, when you know your stuff and when you can display and you have the social proof around knowing your stuff, conviction will naturally come. Some people do this very naturally, others, maybe they need a little bit of work on it. But being really confident and assured in your recommendations, not kind of beating around the bush and you know, having conversations and saying, you know what, like probably you could do this or you could do that. And then they say something and you're like, oh yeah, you should do that.
Yes, sir.
And just being like a yes person, that's not what you want to do. You want to be a challenger. There's a book called The Challenger Sale. I will not run through a whole review of that book right now, but basically they did a bunch of studies on different salespeople. They had people who built relationships, they had lone wolves, they had the nice guys, and they had the challengers. They had a few others as well, but just simplifying things. They kind of defined these sales personalities. The challengers were the ones who were by far the most effective salespeople, and how they defined a challenger was somebody who confidently and assertively offered insight that was sometimes different to what the prospect even thought they should do themselves, had conviction in that, and essentially they were trusted advisors. So if you can nail those three things in your sales conversations, if you can nail just knowing your stuff, having a strong niche and knowing that niche, if you can nail the credibility aspect, being able to tell stories about how you have helped people just like them, and then if you can present all of that with a really nice level of conviction, then you're going to be perceived as a trusted advisor, and I promise your sales are going to increase and you're going to have a better time in your business, and you're going to gain these really nice, loyal client relationships. Because if somebody sees you as a trusted advisor and you deliver for them, guess what they're going to do? They're going to tell their friends, they're going to tell their network about the great work that you do for them. And if somebody they know has a similar challenge to what they have, which they probably will, because if they are in a particular industry, they probably have industry peers, and somebody comes to them and says, hey, you know what, having this particular challenge around our marketing or around our leadership or whatever that may be, they say, I've got a guy, I've got a girl, I know someone who does a fantastic job here. You can be, you know, you're in safe hands with them, and they actually feel that their person who they know is going to be in safe hands because you've displayed yourself as a trusted advisor. If you were like some pushy salesperson or somebody who didn't know their stuff, of course they're not going to send their friend or somebody in their network or a colleague to you. But if they see you as a trusted advisor, they'll send everyone to you because they trust you, right? So it's really a game changer, and it's something that is mandatory. if you want to be successful in your business, a service business especially, even like being the face of a brand, they need to see you as a source of information, a source of expertise, a source of guidance, somebody they can lean on, somebody they can trust. Become the trusted advisor. Super, super key. All right, I hope that was helpful. Until next time, all the best and take care.